Hey guys, amid this zombie apocalypse, I decided that tonight's story would be based on the 4-letter word you should be telling your boo more and more each passing day. So, welcome to Talk Love to Me, or shall I say, Talk Undying Love, because as you're about to find out, true love doesn't expire when the heart stops beating. And in many cases, as the flesh begins to cool, it's love that you feel heating up inside. American poet Emily Dickinson said it best.
Unable are the loved to die, for love is immortality.
So, as you hear the world crumbling outside of your home, and as you spot your neighbor eating his dog's face, grab a beer, insert Corona joke here, hold your Mr. or Mrs., and prepare to fall grossly in love.
All right, welcome to Talk Murder to Me, the first self-quarantine edition.
Yeah, thank goodness we had our show last weekend, huh? Thanks to everyone who still came out to our Raleigh show.
Yeah, it was a great time.
Our future shows are postponed temporarily, so we've got a tentative date in May if we are in the clear to do so at that point in time, and that'll be a Charleston show. In our Orlando will be TBD based on when CrimeCon is rescheduled. They have not released any information about that yet. So,
yeah.
Hopefully we're only going to be down one show.
You know, while you guys are listening to this, hopefully you're either in your own car or, you know, in your house. Just be responsible. Even though you might not think it's a big deal, you could easily infect others. So just stay safe out there, guys. Wash your hands.
Yeah, and the most important thing is don't panic.
Yes, please.
We're all gonna fucking die. Start panicking right now. Seriously.
No.
Everyone is going to die. This is going to kill everyone. Seriously, start panicking.
Here, listen to me. All right, as a retail worker, please just go about your normal day. You don't need to do any emergency thing.
You do, because we're all fucked.
Listen,
John's kidding.
I'm not. We're fucked. Start panicking. Seriously, stock up on ammunition.
Get that toilet paper, man, if you can find it.
We get trucks in every night, but you know we don't get that much of it. So
we're
please
fucked. F-U-C-K-E-D fucked.
Please don't.
If you're listening to this, you're probably one of the last survivors.
Well,
oh my goodness.
You know, just think of the people that are putting their life on the line to serve you.
Like us. We're podcasting for you guys, for your entertainment.
Correct. From our quarantined home, but that's okay.
Big shout out to Nicole.
Hey,
Not
Nicole.
you. Not you. The other Nicole that joined our Tacos Primo list. She's from Tyler, Texas.
Tyler, Texas.
Tyler, Texas. So big shout out to you, Nicole. All right. So tonight I wanted to change the mood of the nation.
Oh, good.
And instead of talking about death and dying and we're all fucked, I want to do a love story.
Aw, that's sweet. Are you're getting in the mood for the wedding then? Our wedding, which will hopefully be now less than 50 people based on the CDC guidelines.
Or less than 10 based on the recommendations of others.
Yeah, it won't be less than 10. Come at your own risk.
To start out, I want both of you guys to tell me what true love is, and then we'll take a shot. What do you think true love is?
True love.
I wouldn't know.
I think true love is finding someone who is your best friend, who you can tolerate. This is like more what you would say.
That is what I say.
I think it's about finding your best friend who you can be your true self with and really not give a shit.
That's what I think love. That's what my dad used to always tell me.
I don't want to say tolerate. You say the word tolerate. I don't think it's tolerate. I think it's being your best friend and being yourself at the same time.
You just need to find someone that you can put up with until you're dead. And I believe that. That makes total fucking sense to me.
So you can put up with me until you're dead?
Yeah, I can put up with you for at least 60 years.
like I said, I guess I don't really know, but I would imagine my idea of a true love is similar to Nicole, like someone who everything just comes naturally. Like you don't have to try. Like I'm not saying that love is easy, because there are probably times where, like, you know, it's not. Like, you know, it's true love when you're just comfortable, like, being with them. No, just like being like with them. Like literally
You're
can
not
just
trying to be somebody else or trying to impress them.
No, like literally just, you know, like you can sit in silence and it just feel okay.
Yeah.
Like if they like their soul, like their presence brings your soul comfort and ease. Like I think that is just like,
It's a nice way of putting it.
yeah, like you just happy, just embrace them.
Well, I personally don't believe love exists. I think it's
Here
just
we
a bunch
go.
of neurological responses in your brain.
Well, even if
And that's what all the leading scientists also believe, and it's kind of proven, you know, because love is an emotion, just like greed and anything else. All right, so who is this hot piece of ass?
Babe!
Shit.
is that the Black Dahlia?
Oh shit.
She's wearing Mary Jane shoes and knee socks.
You haven't heard of this story, listeners out there? I can promise you that.
But let us know if you have.
Nobody has. One of the great things about this podcast and none of the other ones is I don't copy everyone else's and I do my own shit.
So we'll have to see if another podcast puts one out in 2
If
weeks.
another podcast puts this story out, I'm going to go kick them in the balls because they are deliberately listening to me and putting out the same
You'll
episodes.
have to kick their ball socially distanced in a socially distanced
I'm so
way.
sick of these other podcasts copying my shit. Okay?
Well, there you go.
Be original, assholes. Okay, so go ahead and read this, Naquiz. There's a lot of reading tonight, but you won't be bored, I can promise you that.
Miss Elaine Hoyos, 22, died yesterday afternoon, 4:30 o'clock, at the residence 1228 Watson Street. Funeral services will be held this afternoon, 5 o'clock, from the residence to St. Mary's Star of the Sea Church. Reverend A.L. Morio officiating. Pritchard's Funeral Home has charge of the arrangement.
Wow, they didn't waste any time back whenever this was.
Hoyos. Where's that name from?
Portugal,
Nope.
España?
Mexico,
Honduras.
So
Argentina.
tonight we're going to Key West, Florida.
Ah,
So this is most likely a,
Cuban?
there you go, Cuban. She is Cuban and her father is a blank maker.
cigar.
There you go, a cigar
Nice.
maker. Cuban cigar. Well, now are you catching on? All right, so this
I
is
enjoy a cigar every now and then. And by every now and then, I mean like once every like 7 years.
Yeah.
so the picture I showed you earlier of Miss Elena. Go to talkmore.com to see all of these pictures. Miss Elaine she died of tuberculosis. Which is now we don't really have a problem with that.
Correct. We just have a problem with coronavirus.
Exactly.
Corones, as we call it in this household, guys. Tuberculosis is contagious, right?
Yes, there's a vaccine for it.
It's very contagious. In fact, her entire family, immediate family, mom, 3 sisters, dad, uncles, they all died from getting tuberculosis from her.
Interesting.
Now, tuberculosis is a very, very tragic disease. It's basically, from what I know about it, from what I learned, is it's a respiratory disease with your lungs, and you form these lesions on your lungs, and then you get stuff like shortness of breath, you get like severe body aches, you get pneumonia, all these chills, fevers, and then you die.
Very similar to
it
coronavirus.
sounds like corona. But except with tuberculosis, you cough up blood because of the lesions on your lungs.
Yikes.
They're in Key West. Now, Key West at this time period, this is the 30s, was not Key West today. Key West back then was actually a very small community. Still about 5,000, 6,000 people. But I mean, today, look at it. It's, whatever, 100,000 or whatever. There's a lot of people in Key West.
Also, Key West is home to the southernmost point in North America.
But there was this one doctor that took her case on and decided that it was his life mission to save this woman. Okay.
In America, not North America.
We're in America.
No, I know. Jen said it's the southernmost part of North America, and I said it's the southernmost part of America, not North America.
That is true, Jen. The southernmost part of North America would be like
Mexico.
Peru.
Brazil.
Brazil.
Wait, I thought that was in South America.
Would be Argentina.
Yes. Brazil, although not a real country.
Right,
is
would be
located
Argentina.
in South America.
You know what, guys?
Also, no.
Yeah, Argentina is the last little fucking one down there.
Nope.
Bullshit. Chile. Motherfucker.
Chile out.
Correct.
Okay, moving to fuck
I'd
home.
have to go with Nicole on this, considering she's our third grade geography B winner.
Yeah, which is why I would not go with her on this. There was one doctor that took an interest in her case, and he devoted his life to saving her.
Because he loved her.
No.
Oh.
Because he murdered her biologically.
Biologically.
I guess murder is biological anyway. She died.
But he
I meant,
murdered
like,
her psychologically.
No, I meant like biological warfare.
Oh, like he gave it, like he put it in a petri dish and gave it to her.
Yeah.
Also, I like the word petri.
It reminds me of Land Before Time.
Yes. Oh my God, yes.
What you're reading now is from the memoirs of this doctor.
I saw her the very next day when she came in for more tests, and this time I took a radiograph of her lungs, which brought me painful revelation that she was suffering from tuberculosis. From the frailty of her figure, from the listlessness with which she sat, I suspected that from much of the very first day. The certainty which was now gained increased my worries because our hospital was not adequately equipped for the treatment of lung tuberculosis. Yet some way had to be found to help her. A fierce determination to aid her, to bring her back to health, was burning in my soul.
This is from the memoirs of the doctor, and his memoirs are super, super fascinating.
Because he loved her?
He does fall in love with this woman.
After she dies?
Okay.
Well, that'd be weird.
Let me see.
I'm not saying it hasn't happened before. Hello, Ed Gain.
He is an x-ray technician at this little hospital there in Key West. Okay. He's a very eccentric guy. As soon as Elaine walks in, now she's married at the time to a guy. But as I'm going to tell you about later, this guy loved her until she started coughing. Right. Until he knew that she's got tuberculosis, and then he's like, I'm outie. Peace. Good luck with all that TB shit. I'm gonna go bone. Well, I've been saying bone a lot. I'm gonna go, have coitus with another woman and get her impregnated because you're dying anyway. That's basically what he said.
Well, that kind of sucks.
Nice.
I have to say that does not sound like true love.
Uh-uh.
But what
Which
do I
is
know?
why this husband doesn't really make the story. And he doesn't go down in history. But the doctor does, because he looks at Elaine and immediately he falls in love. Now, the first time she comes into the x-ray facility is the first time he ever met her. She walks in and he doesn't really notice at first. It's just another client, another patient. He puts the stethoscope on her lungs, whatever, to hear the breath. He takes a little prick of blood, gets
sample?
that. And then when he finally looks up, he sees her and he's awestruck. And from this moment on, like Nicole read, he's going to do everything he possibly can. He's going to move the mountains. He's going to part the sea to make sure that Elaine stays alive. But you read earlier that she was dead. He falls madly in love, head over heels, for a dying girl. Now, she only lasts another 3 months. So he only sees her for 3 months. But that moment forward, he instructs her to come in every day, and he's going to do this x-ray technology, this x-ray treatment that pretty much he invented. He's the top x-ray technician in the whole United States. He's going to blast her with x-rays every day. Now, this may be kind of a ruse to see her, but he has really good intentions to healing her. He really wants her to survive, and the family's all for it because they're from Cuba. The family's from Cuba, and they don't really have much money, so he's offering to do this for free. So they love it, but he does fall madly, madly in love. As you read the first time, she dies.
Mm-hmm.
She is buried and everything else. But this doctor still cannot get her out of his mind.
Oh, boy.
And he starts visiting the grave every night.
Okay. Ever since the moon began to wane, Elena had begun to sing in her casket with a very soft, clear voice which became just a little bit stronger from night to night. It was always the same old Spanish song about a lover who opens the grave of his dead bride. He could distinctly hear and understand its every word. This always lasted for no longer than perhaps 10 minutes, and then she fell silent as if expecting me to speak. Darling, I would say, very soon now the moon will change.
But let me stop you. Do that accent again. But he's very, very German. The instead of the. Very, very German.
Go ahead,
his name
Jen.
is Karl Tanzler. Actually, his name is Count von Tanzler. He is the most German person you'd ever see.
Hans and Franz.
There you go.
Okay, Jen.
You got that.
This is him. What, Jen?
Wait, so this old dude, he has really tiny feet.
Oh my goodness.
Look at how tiny his feet are.
They're really unproportional to his hands because he has big hands, but tiny feet.
And he's old. He's old and he falls in love with this woman?
He looks like the Colonel, but like not.
So he's
Very
very
Skinny
tan.
version of the
He is actually
Colonel.
from Dresden, Germany, which I'm going to go into. Now, this Elaine, let me back up, is 22 years old when she dies, and he is 50.
I was going to say, he looks
Yeah.
like 60 in this.
Well, he's 52, probably. Go ahead. Now, in your German accent, let's take some drinks.
Darling,
I would say.
very soon now the moon will change. The hour. That's not German at all. That's
That's
like
close.
No, it's good.
It's more like Dracula, but he is a count.
that's us. That's two. Very soon now the moon will change. The hour approaches when I shall take you home with me. I will clean and wash you, and I will put you on your bridal dress with veil and crown and all. Thus, as my bride, you will stay with me forever.
All right. That was like German
That was
with
good.
India.
That was good.
Indian.
Yeah, that
was
was not
good.
German. I don't have a good German accent.
Okay, so for 18 months, she's buried.
And he
every
hears her
night
singing.
goes and visits the grave, and he talks to her because he just had the love of his life that's already married.
Who we knew for 3 months, but okay.
She's
Wait a
already
second.
married.
Wait a second. So I was too busy trying to like talk in a German accent, and I wasn't really comprehending the words that I was reading. I will clean you and wash you and put on your bridal dress.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh shit! This is like Dennis Nielsen, but
Yep.
German version. He has to dig her out of the grave. At least Dennis Nielsen just put the victims
Yeah, he's
under
like
the
Ed Gein
floorboards.
and this dude compared.
combined.
18
No, more like Ed Gein because Ed Gein took them out of the graves too.
18 months go by. He's still every night, like clockwork. He's at the cemetery in Key West, and there's no one there. It's a cemetery, and at the time, there's hardly no graves there. They're all spread out. So he's there every night talking to his beautiful Elaine.
Grieving and like going to the grave is one thing, but like I don't know.
Yeah, digging it up is takes it to a whole nother level.
I'm not saying he's going to dig it up. What
Well,
the fuck? What do y'all
he-
think this is?
Thereafter, he began striking up conversations with Elena. It was rumored that he even installed a telephone so he could call Elena when the weather was too bad for one of his personal visits. However, such times were rare. Almost every night he came to see her, her faithful lover, her everlasting suitor. Did he just like stick the cord in the ground and was like, all right,
He put a
we go.
a landline in her grave. He opens the grave and puts a phone in there, and it's like, if I ever can't make it, I'm gonna call you, and we're gonna have dead phone sex.
he
Probably
used to
sounded a lot
call
like
me
this.
on my cell
It
phone.
probably sounded a lot like this.
Yeah. Oh, God. Oh, sir.
Faster,
Babe.
harder. I'm too dry.
Babe.
There was a line.
He saw it. He crossed it.
You made a decision to cross that line. You saw it and were like, nope, I'm just going to cross it anyway.
The rumble of distant thunder was a fitting percussive note for what was about to transpire.
Do you love me, Carlos?
Putting his mouth to the valve, he replies,
Elena, why would you say such a thing?
You do still love me, don't you, Carlos?
Of course I love you. Why would I visit you?
You sound like the Cookie Monster.
Of course I love you. Why would I visit you night after night?
Tell me then, Carlos, am I really dead?
No, Elena, you are not dead. Your body is asleep. Your spirit is dreaming.
Carlos, where do I live?
You live in the little house I built for you. That sounds French. I built you to protect you. I wanted you to be safe.
Is this your house too?
No, Elena. I come here to visit you.
Carlos, listen.
Crash.
Carlos, listen to me. I want to go home with you. I want to be with you.
After a while, haltingly but firmly, came her voice again.
Now do it firm now.
Carlos, don't you listen to the words of the song I sing to you every time you visit? It's the same song I used to sing before I died. The one we heard together on the radio during my treatments. La Boda Negra, the Black Wedding. Don't you know why I sing our song?
But Elena, there are problems.
La Boda Negra. Now that's going to come in play because that was her favorite song. And a little bit of the words from that is, at night he would visit the graveyard until he could stand it no longer. Rescuing her from the grave, he placed her on a bed of flowers and then, before taking his own life, recited his wedding vows with his dead lover. Let's scoot back a little bit. Now this is kind of building up to the story, but before she died, he actually proposed his love to her. You remember, he's spending his entire life right now trying to get her better, and he proposes multiple times.
Her 21st birthday approached. I had high hopes now that she would accept me as her suitor, as she had allowed me to buy the ring. I brought it over that day, hidden in a bouquet of roses. I also brought cakes and wine, and we had a wonderful day together.
Elena, I can give you so much more than someone your age. I can give you my science, my experience, my capacity to save your life. All this and more, I will give you my undying love.
Hey, I need to point this out because you said that, kind of reminded me. Tonight, we're reading from a book called Undying Love from Ben Harrison. But everything that you see in bold that you guys are going to read is from his personal memoirs, the doctor's personal memoirs, which I can embed a link there on talkmurder.com.
She gave a little laugh and joked, "You're going to fly me in your plane with no wings?" She had offended the doctor.
I can build things. I'm building a high-power, high-frequency unit with ray equipment. Surely I can build things so we can fly away together. I can fly you above the atmosphere where the ultraviolet rays from space will surely cure you.
It was then that he learned that Elena may not be ignorant of her real condition. Elena's beautiful face took on a lot of pain. "Carl, I think I'm dying."
No! Don't believe that. You're not going to heaven yet. But don't worry. If you die, I'll take you into my arms. The good Lord will bring us both to heaven.
Bring me my fan, please, Carlos. I used it when we danced, when I was able. When I danced at my wedding. Carl, I'm frightened.
Elena! Forget about him! You were meant to be with me. It's our destiny.
What Carl did to enable him to visit was buy his way back into Elena's life. In return, she allowed him to treat her and, naturally, examine her as a doctor must. Electricity, the unlikely third corner of a love triangle, consummated the extraordinary attachment what this physician had for his patient. It was after one of the treatments that Carl, in his memoirs, claimed that Elena initiated a wedding of sorts. If I must die, all I can leave you is my body, for I am only a sick girl. So I can't marry you while I'm sick, but will you take care of my body after I'm dead, won't you?
I promised I would, and it was the most sacred promise which I ever made in life. I kissed her, and then laid her gently back into her cushions, and put her feet so as to get blood circulation back into her head, for her breath was getting short. This was what I considered as our marriage now.
The funeral is about to happen right now, and they're at the funeral.
At the very last moment, when the coffin was about to be closed, and everybody was out of the room, I took a letter from my breast pocket and put it under Elena's dress on her breast. Then I kissed her goodbye on the temple, which was one place which had remained uncontaminated by other kisses.
The letter read,
Elena, my darling Elena, my love for you is greater than ever. You are now free from all your fetters, and you are free to go wherever you wish. Elena, please, come to me, sweetheart. I long so much for you. Tell me, what should I do? As I cannot live without you. Will you have me, darling? Then take me, or you come to me and stay with me until I can go with you, my sweetheart Elena. Your own Carl.
Let's go in right quick and talk about the characters before we go any further. So like I said, this is Elena right here. Go talkmore.com to see these lovely, lovely couple.
It's a very mismatched couple, I'll give you that.
Yeah, a little bit about her background. She's often, now this is before she was dead, obviously. She was one of the most beautiful women that anyone has ever seen. That's all the town talked about. I don't really see it. She's Cuban. You know, I mean, she's pretty, but they say she was just gorgeous. She's often seen with a red rose in her hair. Her beauty was so unusual that tourists often took pictures of her because she was so striking. Okay. She was very popular. She was outgoing. She was a fantastic singer as well.
And you said that she was married before.
Well, I'm going to get into that right now. The chief of police, his name is Benviendo Perez, says, quote, hers was a delicate Spanish-Cuban type beauty. Her fair and blemishless skin seemed to glow with an inner light. Her dark brown eyes were vivacious and flashed fire. But Elena was not the stormy, volatile, imperious Latin type. Rather, she was softly feminine and infinitely kind. End quote. Now, the background from her father immigrated from Cuba. He was a cigar maker. So she spends her whole life growing up in Key West. I mean, Key West is in Florida, so that's the closest point to Cuba. Obviously, that's where a lot of the Cubans came. And she was the middle child of three. So the oldest was named Florinda and the youngest Celia, and they all die of tuberculosis. I think the oldest sister died at like 40. The mother and the father died. They all got this disease. The cigar shop that her father worked in and he owned was called the La Elena. So it was named after the second daughter. But I mean, think about it. This is during the Depression time. This is 1930, right? This is during the Depression. So as a cigar maker, they weren't really making much money. People didn't have that disposable income to spend on cigars. On February 18th, 1926, she gets married to another Spanish man, the first Spanish man.
Elena and her husband had separated as he had been responsible for her suffering. It was probably only human that this fact filled my heart with joy. It filled me with deep pity when tears welled up in the beautiful eyes of my Elena, and she pointed to a car as it passed by the house. There he goes, he who was my husband. He now lives with another girl. Impulsively, I took her hand between mine and said,
Don't worry over it, and don't worry about anything anymore. From now on, I am going to take care of you.
She thanked me with a happy little smile, and like a child, she said, "Yes, doctor, I'm sure you will."
From what you read there, quote, "There he goes, he who was my husband." I'm going to get into that in a little bit because the doctor actually was married. He was still married at the time.
Too.
Yeah, I'm going to get into that. That's why that said that. But she became pregnant a few months after she got married, and she suffered a miscarriage on November 5th. Okay, and then she dies a few months later. Now, she caught tuberculosis, like we said. It's important to know that during the 1930s in Key West, tuberculosis was the #1 cause of death. I don't know if that was in all of America, but definitely in the Key West area, #1 cause of death. She had the worst type of tuberculosis, and there's several types. This one's called, quote, hasty consumption. Is basically the tuberculosis that's really fast acting. It really gets in there and just
Kills you.
Disintegrates all your shit. I mean, it's like the most malignant, fastest acting cancer they have, right? She was treated in the Naval Marine Hospital where she eventually meets Carl Tanzler. Now, it's Tanzler. It seems like it would be Tanzler, but it's Tanzler. Carl is with a K. I want to say Carl is German, so when he got to America, he replaces the K with a C to be more Americanized. So Carl Tanzler. And he's also, from what we know, a count, which, is a kind of wealthy...
Like a duke.
Well, not like a duke, but like a wealthy... aristocrat that lived in a castle. There was a castle. Now his last name is Kosel, Cosel. So there is actually a Castle de Kosel or whatever, and that was actually bombed during the bombing raids of Germany, right?
Wow.
And so it's still like half there. It's like kind of
in ruins.
Yeah.
Wow.
But as I'm going to get to, we don't actually know if 100% of what this guy says is legit. This is going to be really important. We don't actually know if that's his real name. Okay?
Oh.
Exactly. So we don't really know. But there's a couple things we do know, which we'll get to.
Is he even a doctor?
Is he even a count?
In the middle of my routine work, I received a call from the head office to go and take a blood test from a young senorita who, as an outpatient, had come for an examination. I had hardly looked at the patient as I entered the room. The first thing I noticed of her personality as I bent down to take a drop of blood from one of her fingertips, rather than one of her ears, which were too exquisitely lovely to mar, was that her hand was unusually small, its long tapering fingers the loveliest I had ever seen. As the needle struck, the hand twitched a little, and it was then that from my kneeling position I raised my head for the first time to say,
"I'm very sorry to have caused you pain. Forgive me, please."
Her face had been hidden by her hand, so I had hardly seen it as I first entered the room, but now she withdrew her hand to answer me as I looked into a face of unearthly beauty, the face of the bride which had been promised to me by my ancestor 40 years before. I was so thunderstruck I hardly heard her saying, "It didn't hurt much, excuse my nervousness." Her voice was soft and sweet and childlike. It reminded me of a mockingbird's song in the spring. She spoke with a Spanish accent, yet her English was cultured and quite good. Having performed the duty for which I had been called, I had no excuse to stay any longer in the room. Feeling very shaky, I arose and, much too confused to say anything, I merely bowed myself out, not knowing whether I was walking or dreaming.
Okay, so that is from his memoirs. Now, I want to say, when you read... quote, "the face of the bride which had been promised to me by my ancestor 40 years before." So he was in his castle growing up, and he actually had a vision or like a hallucination, or maybe it was a real paranormal angel or whatever, a guardian angel, whatever, came up to him and showed him the face of Elena these 40 years later, the exact same face. That's from what he says, I mean, you can't really go 100% off this guy, right? Because he's fucking out of his mind. But he claims that he saw Elena's face 40 years before she was even born. Or, 20 years before she was even born or whatever. Now, let's move on real quick, and I'll jump back a little bit. to Karl Tanzler. Who is this guy? Tanzler. Born January 12th, 1877 in Dresden, Germany. On February 6, 1926, he left Dresden with his wife and his young child. He was 50 years old when he left. His wife was 25. So, yeah, in this story right here, he's 60 something. I mean, he's getting older, right?
Especially for that time.
He left his young wife, Doris, and his small daughters behind. He went to live with his sister in Zephyr Hills, Florida, which is close to Key West. Once he was settled, then the family followed him because he's married. Keep in mind. I mean, she's very young, 25, and he's 50, but they're still married. Apparently, he was from noble birth, but this cannot be substantiated. No one knows anything about this guy. He's very enigmatic. But if he was born from a noble birth, this is the facts that we know. He carried a pocket watch that he used often, and it was engraved with the words, quote, Count von Kosel from, like, you know, this is to Count von Kosel from the Tsar of Russia.
Ooh,
Okay.
wow.
So you got to be pretty hot shit to get that.
Especially because at that time, was that Tsar Nicholas around that time or shortly before that?
Oh,
Like when he was young?
I think it would have been.
Yeah, because wasn't he the last Tsar?
I think so.
But also a family member that survived apparently was from his family. Now, no one knows any facts about this guy, so this may not even be a real
Yeah, I
family
mean, you
whatever
could have
he's
got
telling
it from
people.
like an antique shop.
A family member says he's making it all up, but no one even knows if it's his real family member. Trust me, we do know a few things about this guy for certain, but what he claims, we don't know for sure. Now, the family did come to America in 1927, and if you want to read this.
Mrs. Tanzler in her passport picture was a handsome lady, and the two children were adorable. They looked like a happy family full of expectations on their way to meet their father, Karl Tanzler, to begin a new and exciting life in a prosperous new land.
You don't hear that word
Handsome for a woman.
for a woman. Yeah, I wonder like what's the difference between like a beautiful lady versus a handsome lady, like if they use different terms for levels of beauty. Like, you know, like a small, medium, or large for sizes of like drinks or something.
After the wife got to America, they had an argument and Karl walks out. Now, from Karl's words, from later in his memoirs, he claims that she pulled a gun on him and actually fired. And that was like his last, I'm done.
But we don't know if that's true.
We don't know anything he says is true. Okay.
Convenient.
Well, we do not. Well, there's certain things we do know that can be proven.
Okay.
But the things, his past, his history, his real name.
So we don't know if he's really a count.
No, we don't know if he's a count or not. He could have been a pauper.
Yeah.
For all we know. We don't know
I
that.
mean, I would probably do the same if I was moving to a country. Yes, I am Duchess Louisa, you know, like whatever.
But after a domestic argument, he walks out leaving his wife and his children. The true reason for him leaving is actually not known. What we do know about this guy is he is a genius, a straight genius. And you'll see later in the story why I say that. Nobody questions his IQ and his smarts. He's very science-minded. He actually worked as an X-ray technician in America. Now, he goes by doctor, but no one can even prove that he has a doctorate degree.
My boyish interests were entirely concentrated on electricity, on chemical experiments, and on flying machines, astronomy, in fact, all phenomena of the universe. Engrossed in science after science, I took, at the age of 24, final degrees as a Master of Arts in medicine, in philosophy, mathematics, physics, chemistry, etc., having passed 9 different examinations beside the SM.
He has 9 different degrees.
I'm gonna just call some bullshit on that.
You call bullshit now, but just wait. He actually may have been a German soldier. And the reason we think this is because up until the day he died, he was receiving a pension, even though no one knew what it was from. Okay, but he was receiving a pension. So maybe he was a German soldier.
Von Kossel reportedly told Dr. Avlon Foraker that he had been an officer in the German submarine division. According to several people, including Tom Hambright, historian at the Monroe County Library, Von Kossel received a monthly check that he picked up at the post office. Its mysterious source adds to the questions surrounding his past. It could have been a pension for his military service.
Or it could have been a letter from a pen pal in prison. You never know.
He claims the pension was not for military service. He claims that it was from a machine shop that he opened and owned in Germany. Now, this is most likely not true, but it was purchased from him, but not for like a lump sum. It was purchased from a monthly stipend.
Okay.
Now, that's in no way the truth. I mean, that's really far-fetched. This doesn't make any sense, all this stuff.
Well, the fact that he's talking to a dead woman doesn't really make sense either.
No. He's not talking to a dead woman. He is writing this in his memoirs. This is what he's saying about his life. And a lot of it just can't be true.
But didn't he install a telephone into the coffin?
How do you install a telephone into the ground, Jen?
I know, but I guess, I don't know.
He studied Hindu. Now, a Brahmin, which is what he was really interested in, is a member of the priestly Hindu caste system. The Webster Dictionary defines the term Brahmin as, quote, the supreme and eternal essence or spirit of the universe. Now, that's what he was. If you want to label religion on him, that would be it, the Hinduism. We're going 18 months down the road. Every night he's visiting Elena in her grave, and eventually, he just gets fed up and says, you know what, I can't do this anymore.
Does he kill himself?
I was prepared to risk my life and to face any danger which would cross my path this night. There was no halfway, this was clear to me. Once it started, it had to be carried out to a finish. This was my resolve. Besides, I did not know of a single person whom I could ask for help. Not a single human being I could trust who would reliably discreet, and she would have to come out if I were ever to take proper care of her.
So here's what happens. He goes to the cemetery, and he does these things called dress rehearsals where he...
Dress rehearsals?
Yeah, but here's what's going to happen, guys. He's going to remove the body from the grave.
And this is at least 18 months after she's died.
Huh?
He's doing this 18 months after she has died.
Okay, let me break this story for you so you really get into it before we start this.
I'm just saying, she badly decomposed at this point.
At 18 months, he's been visiting every night, and if he can't visit, he's got the phone in the casket.
Now, I expect you to do this if I go first.
Now,
no, I'm saying, but you don't really install, like, it's not a functioning telephone.
I understand that.
It was a functioning telephone.
What? No, it's not. How does he pick up? Yeah. It just rings.
Just listen to the story. Listen, I'm going to get you guys in the story fully right now.
I think
I'm going to tell you the overview of the story.
The memoirs are written from a psychiatric ward.
I'm going to tell you the overview of the story to get you guys fully involved in it so you can, you don't have to think about it. You can really dive into the psychology of this guy.
All right.
After 18 months of visiting his love of his life, the one that he's devoted to forever, he decides to take her body back to his house. It was discovered that he was residing with this body roughly 9 years later.
No.
So I'm going to go over of how he kept the body looking so hot.
What? There you go.
That is her.
Oh, I was reading about this the other day. Not the story, not like the details, but I saw that picture the other day. Yes. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
She literally looks like a plastic mannequin.
Did he
Where are her arms? She does not look like that. Where's her hair? The rest of her hair? She's wearing a kimono.
Is she like paper mache? You know, like it doesn't. I mean,
that's not her skin,
right? Yeah. Oh my God.
Are those her real eyes? Are those glass eyes?
Those are glass eyes. Yeah, they're fake eyes.
Oh my God.
So literally, as she's like falling apart, he's just replacing her with stuff. Like, how, like if she just doesn't look. I mean, obviously, doesn't look. You're not supposed to look normal after being dead for 9 years, but.
Oh my God. So what year did she die again? I'm trying to think. What 9 years later?
1931.
So this is 1940.
Yeah, it was 1940.
Holy shit.
How? I mean, did it just like stop smelling after 9 years?
I don't believe that for a second. He must have had Glade plug-in or something.
No. The reason that he should be taken way more serious is because, as you'll see, she actually, her cells started to come back to life. She was. Yeah.
No.
Oh my God, this reminded me so much of that one show that we were watching.
Hold on.
What was it? What was the show? The Australian Netflix show?
Huh?
What was that show?
So you're telling me that if we're dead for 9 years, but someone is like caring for our dead body, that we're going to come back to life?
Some cells are coming back to life.
Yeah, but that's part of you. So like eventually all these other cells are going to come back and we're just going to be like zombies? Like, no.
She didn't always look like that, what you just saw.
Well, no, she literally looks like a mannequin.
At some time she
Like
looked...
I could grab her lookalike from Macy's and put her on this couch and you guys would be like, hey, Elaine.
I feel like she would get along with Elma McCurdy.
At some time she did look like, kind of like this.
What?
So you can see...
Oh.
So that's actually her body right there.
All of her organs are taken
Yeah.
out.
Gone. They're gone. She's literally like a boat. Like she's hollowed out like a boat.
Canoe.
Yeah, canoe. It gives the word douche canoe a new meaning.
Look at the mouth. That's
You
so
guys didn't
fucking
even hear my
creepy.
joke. Did you hear my joke?
Yes,
Oh,
I
this
heard
is
your
the most
No one
creepiest
laughed at
one.
it.
Look at the eyes on this one. Just watch her eyes.
Look at.
It looks like the googly eyes.
I wonder if they are.
Look, it looks just like Stella's googly eye.
Oh my
that
God,
one right
wait.
there. That was 9 years later she looked like that. 9 years.
Wow. Well, damn. We need to get whatever she was using for age regeneration.
All right, don't you guys want to know
Regenesis.
how she looks like that 9 years later?
Sure do.
Yeah, please tell.
You're going to see this in a minute, but
Oh boy.
he is a science-minded person and an engineer, and he actually built a plane. Now, it's probably a scrap metal plane, and
Like an airplane?
an airplane, yeah. It was called the airship. That's what he called it. Now, it would never work because you'll see the wheels are just fucking ridiculous. I'll show you right now. Go talkmurder.com to see this. But you'll hear this a lot. He talks about flying Elena, his true love, away in the airship, and they'll go to heaven in this airship. This is the airship right here. You see, like,
It
look
looks
at the
like
wheels.
a cartoon. You know what it looks like? It's literally...
Like, this would never fly. Like, look at the wheels.
What's that show?
Looks like a tank.
There's a show that has the airplane cartoon. Like it was like a kids' TV show.
Like kind of like a Thomas the Tank kind of thing.
So
it was along those lines, but
Yeah.
there was a name for it, and I can't think of the name. Someone, tacos, please, like answer that question. I can't think of it.
this is the airship that she rested in because
He wouldn't keep her in the house.
now I forgot to mention this, but when she died at 18 months, remember when he was visiting her grave, he actually built a mausoleum for her and everything. He was actually staying at her parents' house, which they hated each other.
Yeah.
But he just wanted to be in her bed, so he
What
can
a
smell her
Freak.
and everything. No, all right, you said
No,
what a freak.
No. I'm sorry, but if he's so old, he's probably
Okay,
older than
listen,
her.
Can't
listen
you
to
just
me.
like ask her parents what kind of perfume she wore
Just
and
listen
spray it
to
on
me.
your own damn
just
pillow?
listen to me. But you say he's a freak. I read all his memoirs and everything else. I want you guys to walk away from this story as seeing him not as a freak, but someone who was deeply devoted and would do anything. The book is actually called Undying Love. It's okay, you're dead, but I can still, let you live the best life ever. We can still be happy,
Here's the thing. Sorry. There's a difference between being devoted and obsessed. And it crosses that line of between being doting and like caring to creepy.
No, it doesn't. This guy's not creepy. Go ahead.
Obsessed.
Everything went fine. I arrived at the hospital grounds where the plane was without incident. This part of the hospital grounds, being beyond the morgue, was quite deserted evenings. Undisturbed, I now had moved my beloved into the cabin of the plane. She had now taken full possession of it.
Come fly with me and be my wife. My heart thy resting plane will be.
An old German song Karl Tanzler's mother used to sing to him played over and over in his mind as he stood back and looked at his wonderful airship, which now held his wonderful bride. Von Kossel put his hands together and pulled them to his chest. There was so much more that had to be done.
Now, a little bit about how he got the body out. This is really interesting. So he brings a wagon down to the cemetery. It's probably 3 a.m. And he actually manhandles the casket by himself. Now, he's a 60-year-old man, so this is pretty superhuman that he's doing. But he has this long section in his memoirs, and I'm going to read a little bit. Quote, all the cemetery was alive with souls which came out of the graves from all sides, moving and thronging all around us. It was indeed like a festival among the departed. As they moved up on all sides, it was like a great divine wedding march for me taking place. It could not be the funeral march, for all seemed happy and joyful and interested in silent admiration, watching as the white forms of angels filed past with Alina and me in their midst. Okay, so he's talking about these spirits, which is all around the cemetery, kind of cheering that, you know, the reason I'm saying this is because it's not like you're going to see this. It's not like he drug her up from the grave and then defiled her corpse or whatever, which, you know, a lot of people say he would, but you'll see the amount of care and love and passion and everything else that he devoted to this corpse to keep it looking like that for 9 years. You just can't throw it in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Because that shit's going to get maggots and stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
You guys know how I feel about ghosts and stuff, but this guy's a kook.
Okay, so the cemetery wall was actually really high up and it was locked. Now he struggled to get the casket over the top of the fence, and he actually pushed it up once and it fell on top of him.
Boy.
A quote from the book that we're reading, Undying Love: a foul liquid started dripping on his finest clothes. Now, remember, this was 18 months later after she's been in the rain and all this stuff.
What kind of liquid could be coming out of her?
Well, it's probably just like green pus and decayed, you know, tissue and
So
the rest of your feces.
One question. Did the cemetery not realize that her body had been dug up?
All right, so here's the answer to that. So he was obsessed with her from the get-go, and everyone knew it. He actually built a mausoleum for her with his bare hands, and I'll show you a picture right now, right after she died. Okay? This
That's
is
nice, I guess.
This is the mausoleum. So, and he would go there every day and every night and sit in there. Now, the reason he built this is so she wouldn't get the rain and the elements in her casket. Now, I want to say this outer door that you're seeing right here, go to talkmurder.com to see, it was locked by 3 different padlocks. Her casket was actually locked by 50 different padlocks, every one of them having a different key. So he didn't want anyone to go in there at all.
Okay, so she was not buried underground.
She was at first, but then I think it was like 6 months later, because it took him about 6 months to build this.
But, okay.
And then he takes her out, basically dries her off, and does some other stuff I'm about to get into, and then puts her in this kind of chamber that kind of preserves her with all the liquid and stuff.
But that makes a lot more sense in terms of like how he could get her out without being unnoticed.
Yeah,
that makes a
because
lot
I
more
was
sense.
going to say, like, since he's not family, like, he wouldn't have access to her casket before.
Well, they were married.
Wait, what? I thought they got married after she was dead. I'm so confused.
No. They actually never married. Carl, the doctor, was married to another woman named Doris.
So they were just like married in spirit or something.
So Carl proposed many times to Elena, but Elena's parents wouldn't allow it because he's not Cuban. He's German. And number 2, she was dying and she was already married, so she couldn't marry again. So after he gets the casket over the wall, he makes it back to the plane. Now, the plane is at the hospital he works at, kind of in the back. That's where he puts the coffin. And he actually rented the house where Elena grew up in. He was sleeping in her bed, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes back there and he has to wash off all of his clothes, which reeked.
I bet.
He was actually worried about the family, you know, knowing that he was doing that. He washed himself off with a bottle of whiskey, and this is what he says.
Still smelling strong, but more like liquor now, I closed up the house and went home by a long roundabout way so to give the wind and air a chance to take the odor and dry my clothes. Everything went fine. I arrived at the hospital grounds where the plane was without incident. This part of the hospital grounds behind the morgue was quite deserted evenings. Undisturbed, I now had moved my beloved into the cabin of the plane. She now had taken full possession of it.
At first, he talks about the decay of the body initially. Quote, this is from his memoirs. Decay had set in most disheartening manner. Only with the greatest care I was able to peel the pieces of textile from the body. This took hours. Okay, if you want to read this.
With the greatest of care, I now detached the uppermost layers of clothing, which were overgrown and eaten up with slimy molds. I then got a large bucket and deposited rags into it until it was filled.
This gets worse.
Careful peeling all of the pieces around the head, face, and chest first, I found many pieces had become glued to the skin.
Oh.
All of those which did not come off easily, I left on her body to soak for the time being, as it might injure her delicate skin, which I wanted to keep intact. The bucket was heaping full and heavy.
The bucket was heaping full and heavy.
It had to be removed quickly as the odor was overpowering.
Holy
Okay.
shit.
I can't hold it in
What was
anymore.
the bucket full?
No. Okay, here's my thoughts about this. When you say careful peeling of all pieces around the head, face, chest first, that's where you have to start. If you have to peel something off of someone's body, like, and have to worry about the skin not coming detached, that's a no. That's a no for me, dog. But also, like, just don't fuck with dead people. Like, they're dead for a reason, okay?
All right, Jen, look at this. No, just look at her.
No.
Look at Elena. I want to say the peeling of the skin and put it in the bucket that became heavy and he has to dump out the skin peels. Okay, when the skin actually, because he tried to patch it up at first, but when it finally comes off, because, you know, she's dead for 9 years, he replaces patch by patch with wax. So eventually she just becomes a big wax mannequin.
No. We're not, John, we're not talking about foot peel masks.
This is
here.
Madame Tussauds.
This is not baby feet that you can buy on Amazon for $6.99, okay? This is a human's skin.
I think this is a very romantic story.
You are fucked in the head,
You
then,
gonna
my
do
friend.
this for me?
Actually, I need another drink.
No,
You gonna
absolutely
do
not.
this for me?
Okay, I actually really enjoy wax museums, although the movie with Paris Hilton
Oh, I
and,
love
and
that
Chad
fucking
Michael
movie. House of
Murray,
Wax. That was a great movie,
It
dude.
was one of the only scary movies I can tolerate, but, like, no, also.
I mean, Paris Hilton's kind of a sloozy, but
she's recovered a little bit from that, I
she's
think.
got fucking the herp, dude.
A lot of people have herpes, John. It's called cold sores.
It's called the herp, Jen. TheHerp.com.
Herpes simplex is a cold sore. A lot of people have them.
Owned by TacoCast Media, the herp.com.
But also, no. Like, if you have to, like, pour wax into someone's face to make... They're not Harvey Dent. I'm sorry. I know I
Okay,
made
listen.
That. No.
Let me tell you about
No.
the care and the passion he put into having his love by his side. When I say he puts her in an incubation tank,
She's not a chicken. She's not a chick. She's not going to hatch.
all of this stuff he is developing firsthand. There is sciences that he is inventing.
Like what?
I'll show you in a second. But there is practices that he is doing that has never been done before. For instance,
I'm sure.
for instance,
Yeah, I was going to say, like, that doesn't shock me.
for instance, living in Key West for 9 years with a body and nobody noticed the stench at all.
Right.
There was no odor.
Oh, the
How
humidity.
the fuck does that happen? We do murder stories where 15 days later it's like, oh, there's definitely someone dead back there. You know what I'm saying?
Well, he's like,
to keep that
clearly-
under control for 9
To
years.
be clear, we don't do murder stories here where people smell here. He's talking about like in the story.
Well, I'm saying.
Well, she's clearly taken, like, carved out all of her innards, you know, so that there's no real body left.
Their skin.
The most important task that he has that I've read many different paragraphs of his memoirs was, how do I say this? Maggot control.
Ugh.
Is that a good word?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That reminds me of like, the keepers. There was all like
Gross.
Okay, I have one very, very important question. I do.
What?
And I think I know the answer already.
I know what you're going to say. Did he have relations with...
Wow, you know me better than I thought you did.
That is what everyone's thinking,
Yeah.
which is why I'm saving that to the very fucking last sentence.
All right, then
I'm
forget
tell
I
you,
asked it and you tell me. Go ahead. Tell your story.
No, I'm telling you, I am going to tell you if he did it or not at the very last sentence. So if you want to know if he did it or if he didn't, then you can wait and finish this podcast. You assholes. Trying to skip forward.
I mean, now that you're telling them, that's what they're going to do. So,
Yeah. All right. The incubation tank. Now, this is from his memoirs. Quote, I had prepared for her both antiseptic and nourishing for body cells. This I kept pouring until the tank was completely filled. So think about this big tank, right? Just big, I was thinking those tanks in, those science fiction movies where they're just in this goo and they were like frozen kind of.
like a bunch of science
I don't
fiction
know.
movies.
And then they come out because they've been in like cryogenic. So it's like one of those big ass tanks.
The one with Jennifer Lawrence and what's his face?
So they're in this.
Where they're in space. They're in that capsule.
Passengers?
Passengers.
Yeah, but I'm talking about a big gooey tank with like pink goo in it.
Oh,
right.
that other movie, the one with the impersonators or something, that old style movie. We were
Yeah. So
watching.
anyway, think of that.
like
So it's
any science fiction movie ever.
this big tank, right? And it's got this pink gooey shit in it. She's suspended in there, like doing.
Are we sure it's pink?
The wave with her dance moves. Because she's floating in this plasmic
No, she's
goo.
dead. She's not doing the wave. She's dead.
I know,
she's
but
like,
she's floating in this plasmic goo.
yeah, but you have to you tacos have to understand. She's not like doing the wave with her arms. This isn't a dance off. She's literally like.
The tank was then placed into the casket. Now I felt easier. At least for the time being, Elena was protected against further decay. End quote.
Well, it's time to go in there and unlock.
guy has
Someone
all
that
the time.
loves someone, Jen, you don't know
50
what love
locks.
is. You just said earlier you don't know what love is. This is
50
what love
locks.
is.
Like I said, this isn't love. This is creepy. This is obsession.
So
It's strange.
The plasma goo
Strange.
kind of looked like this Sonic
Strange.
drink right here. All right, let's talk about the cosmetic work a little bit after
World's
she was
first
dug
makeup
up.
artist.
Splints for the nose to reposition and straighten were kept on for 1 month. She had, when you put someone in a casket, you put your arm over the body to fit in the casket because you're in a box.
Yep.
Well, the arm was like permanently rigor mortis in that position. It's all
Right.
like stuck, right?
Yeah.
So he made a pulley in the home. This is after he moved to his own like abode with his wife, if you will. So he made a pulley system in the home that kind of raised her arm up for just a few days to get it kind of back, in motion.
All this reminds me of his Young Frankenstein.
Yeah.
This is his laboratory. This is where she was at most of the time.
Is this like a
This is like
tourist attraction now?
This is actually beachfront property. It's still there today.
You couldn't pay me to live there. Nope. Abso-fucking-lutely not.
Hard
nope.
pass.
That's, no. I don't fuck with dead people. I don't fuck with dead people who have been fucked with.
Hot solutions were ingested by her, and I'm gonna tell you how he did that in a minute.
You can,
Into her body to preserve her intestinal tract. A death mask. Now this is important. A death mask out of plaster was made pretty soon after she was deceased to remain her facial features. Right. I mean, her face you're looking at right now. If you go to talkmurder.com, that face is a death mask. That's not actually her. It's her face, but that's plaster. That face,
Okay.
right? So that's a death mask. What they call a death mask. And he made a few of those. Okay, now keep in mind the family didn't know he was doing this at all, but he would every day, I'm talking about all day long, when he wasn't working, is he would infuse like vitamins into her and try to get that cell regeneration going. And also for the hair, because also the hair falls out, obviously. He actually used real hair, her real hair, if you want to read this.
So he was like the modern day Dr. Leonard before Dr. Leonard was Dr. Leonard?
Don't you believe it, Mother? I'll take good care of her. I'll not permit her body to decay. And if in the grave Elena should lose her hair, I'll buy new hair and put it back on her hand. Don't do that, said the mother. Don't use other people's hair. Put her own back. I have some which she cut off a year ago. Wait, so like the parents are helping him with this stuff now?
No. Like I said, the parents actually didn't know. Okay, this was like, this was right when she died. That's where he got the hair from. This was like
this is okay.
Him grieving. They thought he was grieving. He was going to, As I said, the wax, as each piece of skin fell off, and it couldn't be regrown or whatever, he would just put wax over it to replace it. The bones were actually held together by piano wire, which is pretty clever. Let me see.
This must have taken out. There's a lot of bones in this.
I thought
body.
he was like a well-to-do X-ray technologist. When does he have the time to do this?
Right?
Now, let's get into some really not disgusting things.
Sure, I believe that. Her beautiful hair also needed plenty of washing, as it was still partly glued together into her scalp. By further examination, I was not surprised to discover small magnets and gnat larvae type, which were feeding on blood around her head and ears on the surface of her abdomen. I treated the abdomen with healing lotions and sterile packing, like living tissue. I also bandaged up toes, feet, and fingers, as they had badly suffered in the soil and threatened disintegration. I moistened these bandages with formalin to arrest further decay for the present. There was no more danger of deterioration except from the insects, which I had kept away with double screens. In an airtight metal container, the gases exhaled by the body are not carried off by diffusion, but accumulate and condense into liquid form. This corrosive liquid attacks the body tissues as well as the metal container, except under proper laboratory conditions where the gases are carried away by pumping apparatus.
So he developed his own pumping apparatuses and everything else. He really did take really good care of her. And like I said, the main part of this was trying to get her to stop decaying so much. Now he talks about mummification.
Mummification had partly set in. This, however, is not beyond resurrection. The revival of the dried-up cells merely consumes, and I never gave up hope while I have a will. Now I began mixing plasma solutions in different quantities, adjusting, testing, cooling, and heating elements. I also tested circulating pumps and electron cells, sterilizing everything, including rubber and glass connectors.
Okay, I have a question, John. So you claim he is acting out of love and like this isn't creepy or bad or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you also claimed that the doctors in the Japanese story that we did went way too far to try to keep that guy alive.
Well, they were doing it for the knowledge of medical science. This guy is doing it because he loves her and wants to bring her back.
Also, she's dead, so she doesn't feel any pain, I guess.
No. Well, you're about to read something. This is what blew my mind about this story. She actually, I know she's dead. I get it. But she actually started to come back to life. Her cells actually started regenerating, which is fucking crazy. It's fucking nuts. But pumping that much vitamins and nutrients into a body that is dead, supposedly the cells jumpstart again and start reproducing. I'm just saying, it's not like she's going to come back to life.
No.
But to this
she's
guy,
like half wax
if you read his memoirs, a lot of stuff I didn't put in here is him talking and them having conversations with each other,
Well, that's not
Real.
actually happening.
Is it?
I mean,
but this is also the guy who we don't know, like, what his real name is, if he was a count.
And do we know for sure that the cell regeneration is actually factual? Or is he just saying it?
This could just be propaganda, sir.
All right, let's talk about the leakage right quick, and then we'll get into cell regeneration.
That's such a gross term. That might be worse than moist.
Whenever I discovered another leakage, I sealed it up right away with silk and wax to stop any plasma from running away. When any part had shrunk in by loss of fluids, I filled it up with a soft, sterile cotton packing and overlaid it with silk and wax.
Nothing about that passage was enjoyable. What are we going to do? Well, what's the worst, though? Leakage or discharge or moist? Leakage, discharge, or moist?
Discharge
I think
is pretty
discharge.
bad. Discharge is bad.
I actually don't mind the word moist because that's the only way you
love
should describe a
moist.
cake.
Or muffin.
Hey,
Yeah, it should be moist.
All
I'm
you
sorry.
females out there, moist.
I have a harder.
I think leakage is worse than discharge, though.
I think discharge is worse.
Discharge is like some venereal shit, like fucking.
But you know what I also hate? Panties.
I like that word.
I love
hate
that
the
word.
Panties.
Come in, get my panties.
Ew,
I love that.
Stop.
I like the word panties. I don't mind that.
I love that.
like
It's my
the word
favorite word.
panties.
Well, I mean, other than underwear, how would you describe it?
Underwear.
I said other than underwear.
Underwear
Undies.
sounds like what my grandma wears.
I like undies.
Undies, that's okay.
No, but that's not sexy. Panties.
Undies.
You just.
Uns. You say uns.
I don't. All right, like I said, she was actually getting better. This is from his memoirs right here.
As weeks passed on, I noticed, to my great joy and satisfaction, how her form had filled out and developed. It's like she's going through puberty again.
No. You can't recover from that. She's a fucking canoe. Okay,
Dude, she's getting better, though.
You cannot just become. You can't go from being a canoe.
She's
to
getting
being,
better, dude.
You can't just flip over the canoe and have your chest be like fixed. No, she's a fucking boat. If you see those pictures, she's not coming back from that. You're not.
Her living contour was again restored, and she had added weight. Her limbs were filling out, and her beauty became radiant. Her expression showed serenity and happiness.
Was she gaining weight from like all the paper mache he was pouring on
No,
her?
Yes.
it's mostly water weight. So what I've learned about this, decaying bodies from the story is when a body decays.
You know way too much about decaying bodies. Like this is a problem. Nicole.
Your body is like 70-some% water, right? Everyone knows that. So that's the first thing that dries up. So if your body is going through the decaying process, it's going to be like 20 pounds.
Hence the discharge.
Exactly. So, you're pumping all these vitamins and plasmic contractions, all this shit that he mixed together into her. Her cells are going to start retaining water.
How?
Right?
They're dead. They're
Jen,
dead.
I don't know. I'm not a fucking
can
biologist.
dead cells still retain water but not regenerate?
I guess so.
I don't think so because if you look like she looked in that picture, you pump water into her, it's just going to squirt right out like a water fountain.
Oh, squirt. That's another word.
Yeah.
Squirt. I don't know if I like that word or not.
It impressed me so much that
What is that stuff squirting? What women squirt? Is that pee?
I don't
Ew,
know.
That's
it's
gotta be
not.
pee-pee.
No, it's different. But
It's
no,
pee.
no, we're not
It's
talking
gotta
about
be
that.
pee-pee.
It's not. It's not. It's scientifically not. But
It's pee-pee.
It's not.
Can I finish reading? It impressed me so much that it kept me spellbound to gaze at her over and over again in silent rapture. It had become my supreme joy to see her daily and lift the veilings to have another look at her and see how divinely beautiful she had developed. Often I kissed her rosy lips while she was lying in her bath, thereby getting always a liberal taste of the surrounding fluid myself, which was indeed an analysis.
No, you
shit.
don't describe something that. No, fluid is another one. I don't like it.
Fluid?
Don't like it. Not if it's something you're eating. Fluid? That sounds like something like post-nasal
Ooh,
drip.
I got it.
What?
Secrete.
Oh.
Yes.
I don't know. So many different liquid words. What? You know what? They're all liquid.
Yep.
Why are all the gross words liquid? Because it's never something good. You don't step in a puddle and be like, I'm glad I stepped in that, unless you were intentionally stepping in the puddle, like puddle jumping.
All right. This is a kind of
Oozing.
Ooh, yeah.
This kind of tells you how he kept her alive. This is in the plasma tank he was talking about.
The outlet tube was then connected to the plasma vessel. The fluid was thus kept circulating automatically 24 hours a day at a temperature of 37 centigrade. This process I intended to keep as a routine as long as possible, checking up on temperature and reaction of the fluid every day, adding distilled water, glucose, saline, calcium, or whatever else was needed. Sometimes I had to neutralize the solution by adding hydrochloric acid.
Let me show you some pictures here.
How do you neutralize something by adding hydrochloric acid?
It's like an acid and a base. I don't know how that shit
but like
works.
hydrochloric acid can like literally burn your skin off.
Well, she has no skin. She has wax.
$5. I bet you I could go to Old Navy, grab one of those mannequins, put them in her place, and he wouldn't even know the fucking difference.
He loved
Anyone
this
want-
girl.
You want to take a bet?
He would just know that when he kissed her, there were no secretions oozing out.
I'm proud of you for getting both of them in there, though.
Remember how I
Nailed
told
it.
you about the vitamins that...
Yeah, what vitamins is she on?
Okay, so now this is the only reason he did this was to ensure that the vitamins went to the correct spot. That's the only reason he did this. But he would swish the vitamins around in his own mouth, and then he would lock lips with her and kind of like push the vitamins down her throat.
You can't baby bird into a dead person. No. No.
Let me tell you about their Christmas dinner.
I already have an idea, and I already want to know. I want you to skip this part of the story. Because if it has anything to do with him carving a ham, cutting it into tiny pieces, chewing it, and regurgitating it into her mouth, you can just skip it. I'm all set, but thanks.
There was a small bottle of Rhine wine on the table, another Christmas gift. I opened the bottle and filled one glass, raising it with a prayer to our God for his blessing. I drank half of it and drew the other half into my mouth. Lifting her veils again, I pressed my lips firmly against hers, which were open just a little. Thus, slowly, I forced the wine into her mouth, the air from my lungs.
So this is July 1936, so this is like 5 or 6 years in. Quote, as I looked at her, I noticed the fingers of her right hand moving and taking her hand in mine.
Oh, please.
I felt
it's called fucking hallucinating at this point, dude.
I felt
Can I
how
ask you what kind of vitamins he was taking? Are you sure it wasn't like LSD or something?
they were having
Was
conversations
he
the whole
like
time.
drinking
Yeah,
diesel
yeah,
gas
sure.
from his airplane or what? Because this is not.
He says, I felt how relaxed and soft it became again. Immediately thereafter, her whole arm lifted itself up and her hand pressed firmly against my face and lips as she used to do when alive, so that I could kiss it. When I kissed her hand, she opened her eyes and looked at me intently. Then turning herself on
With her
her
googly
side
eyes.
toward me, she attempted to get up. I was fully awake and became alarmed, fearing that she would collapse and fall, so I spoke to her quietly. God bless you, Elena. I'm so happy you awakened from your long sleep.
Question. I have a question. She opened her eyes that were removed and they were her glass eyes now that were already staring at him.
And she could see out of her glass eyes.
And she could talk with her tongue that was probably all like dried up and disgusting. And like, no, I'm sorry.
So I'm going to say that there was a negative ghostwriter on truthiness of her cells regenerating, period.
All right, so obviously the rumor mill in the town is going off. And here's how he kind of got caught, because
He like
this
didn't keep
guy
his mouth shut.
no, he was a what do you call it, recluse. He
Okay.
was a hermit.
Well, I can believe it.
And everyone knew he was eccentric, but everyone kind of stayed away from him. But the rumors started flying because he would buy a lot of soap, a lot of jewelry,
Was he buying it from Correggio?
and quote, an enormous amount of eau de cologne, basically cologne to mask the smell, you know? So
Smell. If she was alive, she clearly wouldn't be smelling.
tell me, what do you guys think? I mean, this guy, all right, here's how he got caught. The sister, which eventually died of tuberculosis, went to the mausoleum where the body was supposed to be buried and demanded it to be opened because the rumor mill's flying and she wanted to see the body herself, and he refused. So the whole town got involved in it. And so he goes up to her, the sister, and is like, listen, just come to my house. We'll talk it over. And then I'll go and lock the casket and you can see your sister. Well, she comes to the house, and then he leads her upstairs.
And then he kills her.
No, he didn't kill her. And then on the bed, this picture right here, because she wasn't in a tube at this time. This is actually what she saw, the exact picture, actually, what she saw. This is her in a wedding dress on his bed.
That
So
is fucking creepy.
She would be on the bed like every night. They would sleep together, stuff like that. In her wedding dress that he bought for her.
That is incredibly creepy.
I know that I'm going to see that image in my dreams.
I know,
tonight.
like that is seriously fucking. Please, I can't.
I can't look away. My body is my eyes are telling me no. No, my body's telling me no, but my eyes,
That's a
my
better picture.
eyes are telling me yes.
That's a better picture.
No.
It looks like the Crypt Keeper. Let me blow that up for you, Nicole.
She
Look at
looks
her
like
face.
a Crypt Keeper.
Look at her eye.
Her glass eye.
Look at her.
Man.
I'm sorry. Like,
That's a nice wedding dress, though.
yeah, Nicole, you're looking. You already got your dress, didn't you?
I
She
did.
looks like she's from the crypt, literally.
Yes. Maybe I don't know. Maybe because she was. Like, is that a thing?
Oh my god.
Well, believe that picture.
I mean, I
So
do
what is
understand her hair looked longer in that picture. So if they're regenerating her cells, it's probably from her hair.
Well, I realized later her hair is like up in this one. Like, see, that's a little like handkerchief. It's got her hair like up in a little bun
Where?
in that one.
Oh, okay.
I know, so, but yeah, it still looks, yeah.
Looks like
Wait,
it's
so
chopped
what
off
did
to
the
side.
sister do?
Well, it got out, and in the town, this was a international media storm. Not that he wanted it to be, but it's the fucking craziest
He
thing
should
you've
have thought
ever
about
fucking
that.
heard. So anyway, let me read this one last thing. I titled this "True Love." I can't remember what this says, but this is from his memoirs.
My angel was pure despite the mud and slimy rags in which he had been lying for so many months, and I heard a soft voice speak to my ear, "Now you will love me no more, will you?" These words cut into my heart like an arrow. They set me on fire with sacred love for her. I assured her, "Darling, I love you more than ever. If it were not so, I would have taken you to me." Then kissing her dry lips.
Did they not have lip balm back then? They had all these vitamins, but they didn't have any fucking Carmex. Are you kidding
Put
me?
some Vaseline on them lips.
Nivea or anything?
Then kissing her dry lips and breathing deeply into her lungs until her bosom rose, I unpacked her bridal gown and covered her body with it. Long I lay thus, holding her closely to me, living and the dead united in love. The sweetness of this was divine. Never had I dreamt that she had preserved so sweet and intense a love for me after being in the grave for so long.
Okay, so you do not think that that's true love. That last paragraph.
Absolutely not. Long I lay thus, holding her closely to me.
That's love, dude.
I'm not
The
saying he doesn't
living
love
and
her.
the dead,
Okay.
united in love. He admits that she was dead.
I'm not denying that he doesn't love
loved her,
but I'm
man.
also saying that he's fucking crazy.
Dude,
can
fucking,
be-
that's true love, dude.
No, that's
it's
obsession.
fucking crazy.
That's not obsession.
That's
I'd
obsession.
want you to do that to me if I died tomorrow.
I
Yeah,
won't.
not
You better
gonna happen.
keep me in the damn bedroom and
I will
preserve
not.
me
In the
with
oxygen
plasma
tank.
and vitamins.
Maybe
will
what
not.
she'll do is she'll put that oxygen right into up your butthole so
Keep
that you
up-
get it.
You better keep all the slime molds off of me.
Yeah, no.
So was he arrested for this shit? Like, what happened?
Yeah, he was arrested. But what do you guys think? The most important question, because he wasn't charged, because the statute of limitations, right? 7 years. Well, she's been there for 9 years.
I feel like that shouldn't matter
It does matter.
because he was caught. He's still doing things.
He
to
didn't
the
do any
body.
time. Well, he did, up until the trial, like maybe a month. What do you think the public perception was of Carl von Tanzler?
That he was a freak of nature.
I honestly believe that I would be repulsed by any of this. But I also feel like you're going to tell me that they just let him be because he was crazy. So I don't know. But if I were living in that town, I would want nothing to do with him. I wouldn't want to see him. I want him to be locked up into his own mausoleum. And honestly, I don't know. It's just beyond comprehension.
Go ahead and read that.
I went outside to the young ladies, all pretty girls, who shouted, "We will all have you come from Tampa to see you. We are cigar makers from the Tampa factory. We have read all about you in the papers. We wish you luck and that you will win and get your Elena back. We are all for you," said one pretty speaker in a beautiful black silk dress. They were such a delightfully happy lot.
Are you fucking kidding me?
The public perception of Count von Cosel was amazing.
Well, then again, this is Florida.
I literally was just going to say that this is why Florida is the way it is.
No. This is around the world, ladies and gentlemen. People would come from all over the nation to make sure that he's well fed while he's serving his time. He was getting the nicest fruits.
He didn't serve any time.
Yeah, he did up into his trial and jail and stuff. He would get the nicest welcomes from everyone, because this is very important. This is what I was talking about earlier. Read this. This is a letter from the public. This is one of the public letters that he got. Read this line right here.
In these times, with the world's lust to kill and destroy, it is no more than expected for the mob to unjustly crucify. But if, by miracle, a person such as the Professor Van Cosel could succeed in restoring to life a deceased person, the greatest discovery of all ages would have been made. Even if in the chances be 1,000,000 to 1 against his of success, it was worth the try.
Oh, that's good. So in this time of war, I mean, you have both of the world wars, one's about to start up, one just ended. It's just death and destruction. And this guy, a German, keep in mind, is pouring his love and devotion into bringing someone back. He is not trying to kill someone and tear down a country. He is showing someone that even after death, they can still be loved. Now, the family just basically threw her out into the grave. Okay, there you go. I'll visit you once a year or whatever.
You mean like they had a normal Christian burial and practiced what their culture does normally?
Yeah, but that's not true love, Jen. That's just like, oh, you died. That's it. This guy, love doesn't end when someone dies. Love doesn't end at all. True love lasts forever, even in death. Till death do us part is a bogus statement. The entire public went out to bat for this guy and showed complete sympathy for this guy.
Well, I think it's hard. Like, he did it in secret without the family's
consent.
Yeah, and I think that makes it harder.
Technically, he was married because she did kind of accept the ring and stuff like that.
Questionable.
Yeah, they weren't really like officially married.
Well, what does that matter though? I mean, the family is just going to leave her in the ground to get rained on and seepage and all that shit. He's actually going to take her and take complete care of her and give her. I mean, how is this? I don't understand. The news. Listen, read this. This is from the Key West Times.
Already the love of Von Cosel has become legend in this historic island city. Public sympathy is overwhelmingly on the side of aged Carl Tanzler Van Cosel, jailed since he admitted the life-size doll enshrined in his dwelling for the past 7 years was fashioned over the bones of Elena Hoyos Mesa, the beautiful young matron of Von Cosel adored before she died 9 years ago. He hasn't done anything wrong, seems to be the unanimous opinion. There is a feeling that the 70-year-old scientist probably should be kept under observation for a check of his mental condition, but that he certainly does not deserve to be placed in a jail cell.
I guess when you think of like, how does he do anything? Why is it different than whatever? But like, my opinion is that if he were to, it's not like she was on her deathbed and he's trying to revive her by doing like CPR or any medical interventions at that point. He waits all of this time after she's been in the grave and then takes her out after she's like been laid to rest by her family. I know what you're saying. I understand where you're coming from, but like the fact that he like does this like without, at least letting the family know, or, he literally digs her out of the grave and does all this after a year and a half. It's like Like if you were trying to save her, but like she's past saving.
He did
she's
try to
passed away.
save her.
She's passed away.
Yeah, but he tried to
she's dead.
save her up until
True, he was her doctor,
he did
perhaps.
everything for her before using his own money. The family wasn't even going to do anything. They were just going to let her die. They didn't really care. But he used all of his own money and the equipment from the lab trying to save her while she was still alive. But he couldn't. You can't save people from tuberculosis.
So why did he wait 18 months to start doing this?
It don't matter.
I know.
What do you mean?
The number
Because he was visiting her for 18 months every night. He built her a mausoleum and everything else.
I'm just saying.
Why not?
I get that he loved her and like he did it out of love, and at least he wasn't like harming her. I think it's just more damaging to like the rest of her family.
The family did not give a shit.
Well,
I see where both
And
of you are
he's
coming
the
from.
only one that really cared about her. I mean, the husband of her
But why didn't he
left her as soon as she started coughing.
But why
he
didn't
give
he
a
start
fuck.
doing this right away then?
He did.
well, he was calling her, and then he heard her voice and her singing.
No. He was up. Ever since the moment he saw her, he begged her to come into the hospital every day to get treatments. And he did everything he can. And then she died. And then even after that, he was with her every night until 9 years later. He would go to the graveyard. Then she would get all rained in, all the rain and stuff would fall. So he built her a mausoleum, and then he housed her in there. And then after 18 months, he took her to his home and took amazing care of her. I mean, that's a mummy that has been 9 years. No, I mean, most of 9 years, you'd be bones. You wouldn't look like that. You'd be bones. You'd be bones after 3 months.
Most of that isn't just her though. Like most of it is bones, and then he has to mask the plaster. I'm
No,
saying
a lot of it is her, though.
Okay, you get rained on after 18 months. You're like, I'm gonna build you a mausoleum and take you out of the ground. All right, I'll even draw the line there, so you're not getting rained on. There, done. Kaput, done. But then you take me to your home, and then you like try to like revive. It's
What's
just too
wrong
much.
with that? I don't see.
It's just too much. It's done. It's over with. Like you have to move on eventually.
No. That's not true love, Jen. That's not true love. I mean, you don't know what true love is.
I'll keep that in mind when I'm
You're right.
in. When
You're
I'm
right. I
in.
don't know what true love is. So if I'm wrong, then someone tell me that I'm wrong. If my future soulmate out there wants to tell me that
Jen, if you were to die right here at this table, we would keep you embalmed
I
and
wouldn't
sitting
want
on
that.
the couch with a beer in your hand.
I don't. No. I wouldn't want
Close. You
that.
almost had her. You
You're
almost
almost
had her.
had me. I mean, the
And
beer
we
had
would make
me.
the beer. We'd make sure it was a cold beer, so we would switch out the beer every time it got warmed up and make it cold.
The only way that could work is if you configured my hand to have the beer always like flowing into my cavern after you remove my organs.
There you go.
But I wouldn't want that. I don't want that. I want to be buried in a cemetery with a case of beer in my casket.
I'm just saying, this is. I think this is true love because no one has ever showed her this compassion. I mean, like you said, this is during the time
so it's
of...
true love. You don't think he's a little bit crazy?
No, in fact, he did have a mandatory psychiatrist come in and evaluate him, and he was completely sane.
Okay, I have a question
Plus,
for you.
he's extremely intelligent. This guy is inventing things, building his own airplane, all kinds of
Yeah,
stuff.
that won't possibly ever fly.
Yeah, but still, when have you built a fucking airplane?
I have a question for you that this may or may not. Do you think that she knew
that he was going to do this?
No. Do you think that she knew that he was doing this?
What do you mean?
Because you don't believe in heaven or hell, right? You're an atheist?
Wow, Jen, that was kind of rough. He believed in the Hindu religion,
I'm asking about your opinion
which
now.
is like
Would that change your
spirits and
opinion?
shit. It doesn't matter about me. It matters about what he thinks. She was talking to
But
him.
you think this is true love?
I think this is true love. And because during the time when everyone's fucking killing each other, you have this guy that actually shows a woman. I mean, because if she was alive, he would have showed her the same amount of
But
love.
she wasn't.
It doesn't matter if she was dead or alive.
So she doesn't.
That is love that every woman wants. That undying love. Okay? You guys always complain that guys treat you like shit and everything.
I don't
This guy
complain about
doesn't
that.
fucking do that. And actually, she did tell him, as we read before, to take care of her after death. I don't know if you guys remember reading that. Let me see. She says, quote, "If I must die, all I can leave you is my body, for I am only a sick girl. I can't marry you while I'm sick, but you will take care of my body after I'm dead, won't you?"
Very instructional there.
Look, read this for yourself if you don't believe me. If I must die, that very last paragraph. "But you will take care of my body after I'm dead, won't you?"
Maybe he just took that as a very literal instruction.
Or maybe she wanted this all to happen. Because the whole time she's talking to him. Yeah, maybe not in reality. Maybe in his fucking twisted
head.
mind.
Yeah.
But still, she's talking to him. She's telling him things. In fact, the day before they got arrested, she said she couldn't sleep because she knows of a foreboding about something about to happen. And the day after, he gets arrested, they figure this out. So she communicated with him. I mean, this is like all spiritual shit. The body was taken from him. He didn't do any prison time, but he did eventually move out of Key West.
Where did he go?
He went to Zephyr Hills, which is where his sister lived, and his wife, and they may have kind of gotten back together. He was married.
Yeah.
Right. Did they ever divorce?
No, they
think
never.
so.
They never formally divorced, but they may have gotten back together. This, that, and the other. The body of Elena was taken by the court and buried in a anonymous plot somewhere where he doesn't know where it's at, and no one till this day knows where it's at. Everyone that knows is dead.
Wow.
So no one knows where she's at in the ground, especially him, because he would just dig her back up. But the body was buried, so he realizes that he can never be with the body, so he moves out of Key West. He dynamites the mausoleum, blows it up. He leaves. No one ever hears from him again. Okay, but when he dies, I believe at 81, he's in this Zephyr Hills town in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
People haven't seen him for, I think it was like 18 months go by before people see him. And you read this.
2 years later, after days of not seeing von Tanzler's thin silhouette walking erectly as he searched for wildflowers for his bride, nearby neighbors checked his home only to find unopened mail on his front porch and darkness behind closed doors. They called the sheriff, who found the Count's badly decomposed body lying on the floor next to a table with the casket. The flowing flowers in the vase by the plaster death mask had completely dried, and the petals had fallen onto the table.
They did find his body decomposed. I mean, he was basically skeletons. And beside him was a mannequin with Elena's death mask on her face, like fucking creepy-ish.
Yeah.
Like, because remember, he made a few of the death mask.
Right.
This is one of the death mask right here. That's the...
See, now that mask is realistic.
Yeah, so when they found his body...
That mask looks like a person.
When they found his body, he was decomposed on his bedroom floor, and laying beside him, hand in hand, was a mannequin, basically like a fucking blow-up doll, with the mask on the face.
Wow.
Yeah, it's that's a little weird.
Oh, was it weird before?
That's weird. But the actual
Okay.
dead body wasn't.
All right,
Okay.
so what do you guys want to know?
Wait,
Anything?
you didn't answer the last question.
I don't have to answer that.
Yes,
yeah,
you do.
You said you're going to.
Yes, you do. You clickbaited us all into that.
I do have to say though, like, even though, like, they didn't tell him where she was actually buried, like, if I were him, in my will, I would say, please bury me next to where that is. That would be true love. Or also, if it was truly loving, he would say, after I die, please try to revive me by using these methods, because I think that's what true love is. But he didn't.
All right, so tell me right now, true love or fucking crazy?
Crazy.
I think it's a combination.
Nicole.
I think he
Finally, I got someone half on my side.
I think he loved her, but I think he was fucking whack job.
I think that she was his true love, but after she died, he went too far. Visiting her, okay. Visiting, like I said, visiting her every day, that's beautiful. Talking to her when you're visiting her,
Well, where's
that's
the line?
beautiful. Hold on, let me finish. Building a mausoleum so that she doesn't get rained on or dirt flow into her coffin, that's okay. Digging her up and taking her out of that mausoleum, that's where my line has been drawn and crossed.
So, John, did he consummate his marriage?
Yeah, because they got married after death. So how?
Well, they never really got married.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I'm saying,
All right, here you go, Nicole. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. This is from. This is from
Worried.
His memoirs?
This is from the pathologist, the one that did the autopsy. Now, this didn't come out in court. This only came out after he was dead. So, here you go.
One can only wonder.
The breasts really felt real. In the vaginal area, I found a tube wide enough to permit sexual intercourse. At the bottom of the tube was cotton, and in the examination of the cotton, I found there was sperm. Then I knew we were dealing with a sexual pervert.
He was fucking her.
Well, if you didn't know that already, then you've listened way too far.
If you guys enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that subscribe button on whatever podcasting app you use. If you like the story, follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you're absolutely obsessed with this podcast and want to become our Elena, go talkmurder.com/join, become a Talk Us Supremo, get a badass t-shirt, sticker, swag, a lot of love, shout it out all over the place. Tell me what story you want me to do. Our research dedicated to you on Talk Murder podcast. My name is John, here with Count Von Dozel and Nicole. And until next time.
Come fly with me and be my wife.
Cause I'm about to get drunk. Ain't nothing to do tomorrow.
Nope.
We fucking
Oh, I have to work tomorrow.
fucking Resident Evil all in this bitch. Everyone's
I wanna play.
zombies and shit. As soon as he's Chin, I make you drink more.
John,
Just like open up another beer. You're the reason I drink.
half of it. Probably.
Corona.
Corones.
Hold on. Fucking birds. How about that, birds, bitch? Ha! Fuck.
I hope that makes it into the bloopers.
Clearly, no.
Those are the cheapest fucking headphones ever, too.
Is that flour or con tortilla?
It was
Exposure.
a little Indian.
I could try it
Do you
again.
want Powerball? Do you want slushy? They work in gas stations. Okay.
You should have please cut that.
No, I'm gonna leave it in because I don't give a fuck.
Put it in the bloopers.
No, fuck that blue.
I'm thinking about Apu from The Simpsons.